I know Alison is, and I know Alison is definitely joining us, she was saying, so she's usually a bit late.
I thought everybody would be bundling in. I was kind of, yes, responded quickly because I was.
Yeah, you were the first, and then actually Tracy's away, but she's coming to quite a few classes here. She's away this week, and Donna, Donna I haven't heard from her, and I think it's, you know, there's a lot going on, isn't there?
Yeah,
this
there is
time,
actually.
I think. So start lying down. That's what. That's a bit of a shock, wouldn't it? So start lying down on your backs, and just however you're most comfortable to start with, and just a little bit of settling, arriving, feeling yourselves, feeling your bodies today. And so there's this sense of, you know, what probably immediately presents itself to us is, you know, any real aches or pains or injuries. And then there's perhaps that sense of, you know, our energy levels, whether we're feeling a bit tired, a bit weary, a little bit hyper. There's lots of change this week for a lot of people. And then just see if you can gather your attention into your breathing for a few cycles of breath. You might like to bring your hands onto the front of your body. And just feel the movement of your chest, your belly, wherever your hands are resting, the movement of your body with your breathing. Letting the breath come in, letting the breath leave you. And come to feeling the contact of the back of your head on the floor. And when you're ready, you can just start to let your head roll a little bit to the right and a little bit to the left. Feeling the weight of the head on the floor, easing your head from side to side. See who that is. Oh, hi Kate, hello. We just started, Kate, so I think you're muted, but you can press, you can, if you press your space bar, you can speak.
I can see you.
You can see me.
Why are there so few people here?
I don't know. It's strange. Is it? Well, there's two people here, so Hilary and Sarah are here.
Okay. Oh, brilliant! Hello. That's great.
Yes. And it's Friday. Everyone, yes. I know Alison is joining us. Everyone's a bit late today, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Down.
Never mind. I'm here. I'm glad I'm here.
I'm really pleased you're here. It's lovely to see you. So, yes, we're just doing a little bit. We're lying down, rolling our head from side to side, and then finding a comfortable place to settle the head down. And maybe just noticing a little bit how you're feeling around the back of the neck, the shoulders into the upper back. And I know for me, I've been really tight in this whole area this week. Although it's a bit better today, maybe because it's Friday. And then, yes, if knees bent, feet standing on the floor, you're going to start to let your knees tilt to the right and to the left, and just see how that feels. So these sort of simple, familiar movements that help us to start to feel ourselves and also ease out tension. Oh, I was just thinking I should maybe open these windows. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
For ventilation.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that going to be okay?
Yeah, I'm sure that'll be fine. Yeah.
I'll just open one for the moment. Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah. Yeah, I'm just thinking maybe I'll shut it while we're lying down, and then
honestly leave it.
Okay, and then from here, what you're going to do is pause in the centre and fold your right knee into your chest. I'll keep your left knee bent, okay, that's it. So fold the right knee into the chest, hold around the top of the right knee for a moment. And then from here, you're going to take that leg up towards the ceiling. And you can hold around the back of your leg. So if you interlink your fingers around the back of your thigh, and you can do a bit of circling of your ankle, your foot on your ankle, in one direction and in the other. And you can do a bit of pointing your toes and your heel. And you could also release your leg and give it a bit of a shake out as well. So you can do all those things, and then you can fold your knee back into your chest. So fold the knee back into your chest and then lengthen the left leg out on the ground. And let a breath come in, let a breath leave you. And so I do say if it starts to feel too dry, we'll shut it. Good. So just have a moment to try and let the left leg just feel heavy and relaxed on the ground. Give it a little roll or a little shake. Good. And then once again, you're going to lengthen your right leg up towards the ceiling. And this time, I'd like you to just hold your leg however's comfortable so that you can let your leg rock a little bit from side to side. So it could be that you just have your hands either side of your leg. You could interlink your fingers around the back of your thigh. You could hold on to your trouser leg, or you've got very long hamstrings, your big toe. Good. So just this feeling of, can we rock the leg a little bit from side to side? Hi, Alice. So Alice, we are lying on our backs, rocking our right leg from side to side, like so. And then from here, and so Alice, you maybe join with this next bit, from rocking that right leg from side to side, then bring your right foot to stand on the floor. So we've got the right knee bent, we've got the left leg long. We're going to come into that one where we press down into the right foot and let the pelvis tilt towards the left. So come into that movement a few times. So as you exhale, maybe pressing into your right foot, let your pelvis tilt towards the left. Good. Very nice. Just do this a few times and see how it feels. So in this movement, it can inform us a lot about how we're feeling around the pelvis. It can really start to release things around the pelvis and the lower back if we're feeling a bit tight there. Good. So this is a couple more times. Yes, so Alice, when you're ready, that's nice to do your knees tilting from side to side, and then you can keep your right knee bent and lengthen your left leg out. And do the one where you press into the right foot and your pelvis tilts towards the left. And we're going to carry on with this, but we're going to do the variation where you cross your arms over your chest with your right arm on top. So now, as well as pressing into that right foot, you can also roll across your upper back. So you're rolling your weight towards the back of your left shoulder, that's it, and you're letting your head roll towards the left. And it's quite nice if you sort of reach your fingertips, your right fingertips out on the floor, away from your body. That's it, so over on the left. Good. That's nice. And just repeat that a few times, and all the time think about how can you let your body soften. And it could be thinking about the upper back softening, but it could also be about the jaw softening, the throat softening, the chest softening. It's so easy to be holding tension that we don't even realise. Because of whatever worries perhaps are going on in our lives. And just once or twice more, and then you're going to uncross your arms and either lengthen both legs or bend both knees and have a couple of quiet breaths. So just feeling yourself. Feeling the breath flow in, feeling the breath flow out. Feeling the length of your body in contact with the ground. So one of the things I've been thinking about in classes this week is just about sort of taking time. So it might be that we go a little bit more slowly in this class. And maybe this is me having had a week off. Yeah, so there's just taking time. So what we're going to do from here is just come back to bending both knees, standing both feet on the floor. Come back to a little bit of tilting your knees to the right and to the left and see how that feels. So see how that feels around the pelvis. How does it fit into the lower back? Just how does it, feel generally does it feel pleasant, neutral, uncomfortable? Okay, and then pause in the middle and fold your left knee into your chest. And hold around the top of your left knee. So just have a couple of breaths with the left knee folded in towards the chest. And then just as we did on the other side, you're going to lengthen your left leg up to the ceiling. And you're going to hold around the back of your thigh. And you're going to a bit of circling your ankle. And also a bit of pointing your heel, pointing your toes. So again, it's sort of what feels good. What does your ankle need? Depends on what you've been doing. If you've been doing a lot of walking or running or cycling or these things we can do. That's it. And you could also release your leg and just give it a little shake out. So that feels, that feels comfortable. If you're going to shake it out, it's probably good not to be, not to be holding it. And then fold that knee back in towards your chest again. Let a breath come in, and as you exhale, lengthen your right leg out on the floor. Let that right leg be long and heavy and relaxed. So it might be that that's it. You give that leg a little wobble or a little shake. You just try to settle it on the floor. And then once again, you're going to lengthen your left leg up towards the ceiling. And this time we're going to be rocking the leg from side to side. So support the leg in some way. It would just be a hand either side of the leg. So for me, it's quite nice to have a hand either side of my knee. Oh, don't worry. Where is that coming from? Good. So rocking the leg from side to side, very nice. And just seeing how that feels. And then from there, let that left foot come to stand on the floor. So bend the left knee, stand the left foot on the floor. Good. And feel the contact of your left foot on the floor. Feel the right leg is just sort of long and heavy and relaxed. And then you're going to start that foot pressing movement. So pressing down into your left foot. That's it, very nice. Letting the left side of the pelvis come away from the floor. Letting the pelvis tilt over towards the right, but keep sending the knee forwards over the standing foot rather than letting your knee tilt to the right. That's it. Good. So we press, and maybe as we press, we exhale. We press into the left foot, the left side of the pelvis lifts, the pelvis rolls or tilts to the right. And then we stop pressing. And we bring the left side of the pelvis back onto the floor. And then, yes, we can add in the variation where we cross the arms over the chest with the left arm on top now. So when you've crossed your arms over your chest, it's more of a whole body movement. So we roll across the upper back. We let the head roll to the right. So we roll the weight towards the back of the right shoulder as the pelvis tilts to the right. Good. And then just see how this feels a few times. So we're rolling our weight. Oh good, look, the sun's coming out, so it might mean that we get a bit more warmth as well. Good, so we're rolling our weight towards the right side of the body. Hi, Al. Alison, my love, you've still got a little bit of lying down, so you can lie down and join us there, which will be good. You don't want to miss out on all of the lying down. So those of you who are doing your sort of foot pressing, you can do that once or twice more, and then you're going to uncross your arms, either lengthen both legs out or bend both knees. Allison's disappeared, so I hope she comes back before we won't be standing up. Yeah, so just for a moment, do whatever you want to do on your back. We've got one more thing we're going to do lying down. So Al, you can join us for this last bit of lying down. That looks nice, Sarah. So settling on your back with your knees bent, and you're going to cross your arms over your chest. Actually, no, but maybe first of all, don't cross your arms. Just have your knees bent and come to a little bit of tilting your knees from side to side. So when you're ready, Al, you can bend your knees and stand your feet on the floor. That's it. And let your knees tilt to the right and to the left. So some of you are revisiting this. And Alison, this will be sort of the first thing. So again, just how does it feel? And there's all these layers of how something feels, you know, how it feels on a very physical level, and also how it feels, you know, does it lift our spirits, or does it feel a bit awkward? And then you can cross your arms over your chest and add in the upper body. So if you cross your arms over your chest, now you can tilt the elbows, the head and the knees all in the same direction. So then you're rolling side to side across the back of your body. That's it. So with the arms crossed, the knees, the elbows, the head all roll to the right and then to the left. And then in your own time, you're going to roll all the way onto one side. So just decide which side you'd like to go to and have a few breaths there. You don't need to keep your arms crossed. You might even want to bring one arm under your head on your side and have a few breaths there. And contemplate the prospect of coming over onto hands and knees, which is what we're going to do. And take your time. So when you're ready, you're going to come onto hands and knees. And you're just going to let yourself arrive there. And then what we're going to do is come into dog pose and just see how dog pose feels. So this, yeah, how does it feel? And or elbow dog, sorry, yes. So settling yourself on hands and knees, giving yourself a moment to arrive there. So it's not too, you don't suddenly arrive in dog pose and wonder how you got there. And then from hands and knees, you can tuck your toes under, you can exhale, rock your hips up and back into dog pose. Good. And have a few breaths there. Lovely. And just see how it feels coming into your dog or your elbow dog. And Sarah, you can always do that sort of dog to the sofa if you don't want to do elbow dog. It might be a little bit easier at this point in the day. So when you're in dog, it's just maybe, you know, what presents itself to you? What's the sort of feelings or sensations? For me, it's usually the back of the legs to start with. Might be the shoulders, it might be again sort of around the shoulders, upper back if you're feeling tight there. So have another few breaths and then we're going to move. We're going to move in a bit of a sequence. We're actually going to be focusing on our feet quite a lot. And then we'll come back into dog later on. So yes, when you come out of dog, just sort of do whatever you want to for a moment. And so in this little sequence, it's going to be focusing, you know, we're going to be doing some things working into our feet, but also if you make your feet your focus in whatever we're doing. So come on to hands and knees with your toes tucked under. And you're going to start by doing a little bit of rocking forwards and back with your toes tucked under. And see how this feels. Yeah, and you can be on your forearm side, that's absolutely fine. And Kate, you may need to stay with this bit. I don't know how your knee is at the moment, okay? So you might just need to stay here, because from here what we're going to do is walk the hands into the knees and come up onto the balls of the feet. So if that's too much for your knee, don't do that. Stay just on hands and knees rocking. So come onto the balls of your feet, and if this is okay for you, then use your fingers to spread your toes out and create some space between your toes, if you like. And then do a little bit of rocking here on the balls of your feet. So we're going to, maybe a little bit of a massage into the feet. And yeah, sorry, you might want your feet slightly wider apart. I don't know, just to make yourself feel more stable, possibly. So you want to make sure that your feet are a little distance apart. Or, yeah, a reasonable distance apart. And then from here, we'll come into this delightful kneeling foot stretch, this old favourite. And yes, Tracy is the one who really quite likes this one. She's not here today.
I don't mind it.
You don't mind it, okay? No. Oh gosh, I always find this quite challenging.
I'll swap it for
The other, yeah. You do this rather than camel legs anytime. So if, like me, it's all a bit much, come forwards and drum your feet on the floor. Now this one is quite nice. Make a bit of noise. And the other one, which I always really like after that, is to then lengthen each leg out behind in turn and tuck your toes under. Really let the back of the leg open. That's it. So one leg and then the other, tucking your toes under. So we've done that. It's a half plank pose, and what we're going to do now is come on into a full plank pose, but really with our focus on our feet and also the legs as well. So when you come into your plank pose, shoulders over your wrists, tucking your toes under. That's it. Come into plank and then really stretch your heels back away from you. Tuck your toes under as much as possible. So you're feeling the work of plank is in the legs as well as the arms. So we know it's not the easiest place to breathe in. So whenever you've had enough, you're going to come down. And I was going to say from here we come into kneeling, but Kate again, actually Kate, it might be for you, I don't know, you might need to come into an up kneeling like this, yeah? If that's better. I don't know how it is to sit down in kneeling, because what we're going to do in kneeling is a little bit of a twist. Yeah, so turning. So Kate, you could be doing a bit of a twist in this sort of upwards kneeling. Yeah, a sort of a looser. If you're up, just do a sort of swinging twist. Yes, and Alice, you can do the same. If you're sitting down in kneeling, then it's up to you. You can move from side to side. I quite like just having a few breaths, turning one way, letting the shoulders settle, and then turning the other way. So these twists are really good for releasing the tightness around into the rib cage, as we know, sort of between the shoulder blades. And then, not just for you, Kate, but especially for you, Kate, we're going to, from here, lie down onto our bellies. So, yeah, so come and lie on your belly. And we're going to actually be focusing on the feet, so you can do whatever you like with your arms. With your arms and your upper body, do whatever you like. Our focus is on our feet, on our belly now. And also, I think just on breathing and making yourselves as comfortable as possible. So you're going to choose one foot to work with. So lying down on your belly, choosing one foot to work with. And you're going to just start to tap that foot on the floor. So you just lift the foot a little by bending your knees slightly. So you can tap your foot on the floor. And you can tap slowly. You can sort of think about dropping your foot down. Or you can do little quick taps. So there's a little bit of variety of what you can do there. And then with the same foot, what you're going to do a few times is tuck your toes under and then release them. So tuck the toes under and then release them. Tuck the toes under and then release them. Good. Good. So just perhaps once or twice more on that first foot, tuck your toes under and then release them. And then come to the second foot and start to tap your second foot on the floor. And again, it can be little taps, it can be quick taps, it can be slow taps, whatever you want to play around with. And then several times you can do that second movement of tucking the toes under. So when we start to do things with our feet, it affects us, you know, it's good for releasing tension from the feet. It can make us feel better. It can be good for our general well-being. Also for me, I find it really quietens my mind down. So tuck the toes under now. Tuck the toes under and release the toes. Tuck the toes under, release the toes. A few times on that second foot. Good. And then just let yourself have a quiet breath or two on your belly. From here, we're going to come back onto hands and knees. But if you feel that you need to go through child pose, obviously not you, Kate. Yeah, if you feel you need to go from your belly to child pose and then hands and knees, you can do so. Otherwise, come straight onto hands or knees, or your forearms and knees. And we're going to go back through this whole little sequence, most elements of this little sequence again. So our starting point on hands and knees is this rocking on hands and knees with our toes tucked under. So again, we're thinking about how we're really flexing into the toes. And this is our starting point, hands and knees with the toes tucked under, rocking forwards and back. So again, Kate, you might stay here. Some of the rest of you then might walk your hands into your knees. Let your knees come off the floor, come into this little, it's a sort of squat, isn't it? We're up on the balls of our feet, we're spreading the toes out. We're doing a little bit of rocking here, so massaging into the balls of the feet. And then from here we'll come into the one Hilary likes, the one I like a lot less. Some very wobbly floorboards in this bit of the room. So yes, seeing how it feels a second time. I'm undecided at the moment whether it's worse or better the second time. Letting the shoulders drop, having a couple of breaths here. Well done. And then you can come forwards, you can untuck your toes, you can drum your feet on the floor. So drum the feet on the floor and then lengthen each, hands and knees, lengthen each leg back behind you and turn. And really take care about how the toes can tuck under. And if we think about this as half plank pose, a preparation for plank, then we can get this sense of how much can we tuck the toes under and really use the feet. And then take that into plank, which we're going to come on into. So coming into plank with this real aware of the feet and the legs and how much can we use the feet and the legs in our plank pose to feel that the work is not just in the arms. Good. So really toes tucked under, stretching the heels back away from you, feeling the legs working. Good. Good. And having a few breaths there, obviously coming down when you've had enough. And from plank pose, we're coming back into kneeling. So up or down kneeling, whichever one works for you. So if you can sit in, down in kneeling, it's really good for the feet because we're moving the feet the other way. We'll come into a little twist. So if you're up kneeling, you can be swinging your arms. If you're sitting down in kneeling, you can be swinging your arms or staying in the twist. But just this sitting down with our weight over the tops of our feet in kneeling is really good for the feet, opening out the front of the knees. And then I think from here we come back and we see how we feel again in dog pose. So having done all these other things, then in your own time, come back onto hands and knees. Take that time to plant your hands down onto the ground and then seeing how does dog pose feel. And when you're in dog pose, can you spend some time here? Obviously not if it's starting to really make you feel tense and uncomfortable. That's it. So Sarah, think about softening your hands in your elbow dog, because that might just help. Yeah, you can keep them in that position, but just keep thinking about them releasing. So when you're in your dog pose again, how does it feel? What do you feel? Can you breathe? Can you release? You feel the contact of your body with the ground. Good. So these are sort of our key principles of breathing, feeling the contact of the ground, releasing tension, softening. Yeah, that's very nice, Sarah. How does it feel in the wrists?
Yeah, I can go away with like one or two.
Yeah,
And I have to switch back.
yes, we were perhaps staying in fewer dogs rather than doing loads of dogs. Now, from your dog, you can, if you're happy in your dog, stay there. From your dog, we're actually going to be coming to sit and focus just in on our feet a little bit more. We're going to do a little foot massage before we come up into standing. So I was suggesting, and you don't have to do it, I was suggesting if it's comfortable to sit in cobbler pose, you can then put one foot on top of the other. So this would be an option perhaps for some of you. It might be that for some of you it's better to lengthen out one leg and bring your foot onto your thigh. So you just really need to be able to get to the sole of one of your feet. And it doesn't matter how you organise yourself. Yes, so Sarah, that's probably quite good for you. And so the first thing you're going to do is a bit of massaging of the sole of your foot, one of your feet. So you can use your thumbs, you can use your knuckles, and it's really nice to massage the inner arch of your foot. And whenever I do these sort of feet massages, it just makes me think, oh, it feels so good. And it feels good on your feet, doesn't it? But it feels good for the whole of you. It just feels a very nourishing thing to do. So there's this bit, sort of this acupressure point, I think I talked about it before, where it's just below the ball of the foot in the centre. It's called sparkling spring, or bubbling spring. Yes. So that's quite nice. It's that sort of tender spot right in the middle. So that's quite a good place to press with your thumb. And then the other thing I really love in these is to massage the underside of the toes. So with the thumb, you sort of pinching your toes between your thumb and your fingers and massaging your thumb up on the underside of your toes. So you're creating some space on the underside of the toes, and that can just feel so nice. So we'll swap to the other foot in a moment, but just make sure, particularly your little toe, that you massage the underside of that, or the littlest ones. And then we'll swap on to the other side.
What does the bubbling spring or the sparkling whatever do for us?
I think it's, well, you said a number of things. I think this is sort of, it can give you sort of energy. Also that point, I've had other yoga teachers, I think Henry Stewart in the past, saying that that point, if you press that point, it's good for releasing the hips. So that's on a more physical level. But yeah, I think sparkling spring is a bubbling spring is about sort of energy, which we could all do with. So again, it's foot 2, massaging the sole of your foot, inner arch, outer arch with your thumbs or your knuckles or the heel of your hand. And just again, a bit of pressing on that sparkling, bubbling spring, that spot in the centre. Below the sort of second toe, just below the ball of the foot. So for me, it's below the bit where I've got this sort of area of hard skin. And then coming to, just before we finish, that massaging the underside of your toes. So pinching your toes between your thumb and your fingers, maybe your forefinger or the other fingers, and then lengthening out the underside of the toes with the thumb, which can just feel so nice. I was just thinking there's all other ones I've forgotten. There's one where you pinch the skin between the toes, which is pulling out the grime or something, which can also feel really nice, but we'll be here all day. So what we're going to do from here is come into standing and stand on these feet that hopefully feel a bit Well, I think it's interesting, isn't it? Hopefully feel a bit softer, maybe a bit squishier. So that's, yeah, so come into standing and see how your feet feel, having given them a bit of a massage. And yeah, just let yourself settle in standing with your feet a little distance apart. So you can look down at your feet and then you can close your eyes and feel your feet on the floor. And have a breath or two. So after I've done those feet massages, foot massages, my feet just always feel a bit bigger and more cushiony. So maybe we've helped increase the blood flow there. And then we can start to do a little bit of swaying from side to side. So we can just feel the weight rocking over one foot and over the other. And we're going to do a couple of quite simple standing balances to start with, just to benefit from the foot massage. So in this swaying from side to side, choose which foot you're going to stand on first. And then we're going to do something very, very simple. We're going to bring our weight onto the foot we're going to stand on, come up onto the ball of the other foot, and then bring that foot to stand on the other foot. And then bring your hands to prayer pose in front of your chest. And just, very sort of simple. Doesn't mean it's easy. Just how does it feel to settle here? And so all the time, our standing foot is going to be making these little adjustments, helping to stabilize the body above it. And it's fine. It might be that we have to bring our foot onto the floor. It might be we even topple out for a moment. So we'll just sort of see, how does it feel to have the intention to settle? To soften the shoulders, to soften the jaw, feel the contact of your foot on the floor. For 2 or 3 more cycles of breath, if you can. Very nice. Come down. Have a little bit of a shake out. So arms and legs. And we'll do the same thing on the other side, of course. So settle down, have a look at your feet, and then maybe finding a point to focus your gaze on, starting to shift your weight onto the second foot. So come up onto the ball of the foot you just stood on, bring that foot to stand on the foot, and then bring the hands to prayer pose. And then it's how can we settle and soften. So I've been thinking about this a lot this week. The little wobbles are actually a good thing. They're a sign that we're not holding ourselves rigid, that we are allowing our muscles to soften. And when we wobble, that's an indication that this is happening. Life above our standing foot. So letting the breath come in, letting the breath in. Or a few more cycles. One more cycle of breath if you can. And then coming down, having a little bit of a shake out. Excellent. So we're going to do one more standing balance now, and then a couple of different things. So settle your feet back down with your feet a little bit apart. And come back to the first leg and take that arm up towards the ceiling. The first standing leg. And then you're going to again shift your weight onto that leg, come onto the ball of the foot, and you're going to catch the top of your foot. And let your knee drop down towards the floor. So we're just keeping this simple to start with. And bring your hand down onto your breastbone. So again, if you need to use some wall support, that's fine. That's it, just move, that's it. Settling. With your hand on your breastbone, maybe you can focus on the breastbone softening, maybe feeling the breastbone responding to your breathing. Contact of your foot on the floor. All the the time think about that bent knee dropping down towards the ground. Another breath or two if we can. Good. And then come down, a little shake out, and we'll do the second side. So again, settle the feet down, a little bit of space between them, taking the other arm up towards the ceiling, starting that process of shifting your weight into the other foot. Come up onto the ball of the foot you just stood on. That's it, and then you're catching the other foot. And then yes, the hand can come down to the breastbone, we can let the knee drop. You can soften the shoulders. It's all around the sort of jaw, the throat, the chest, the shoulders. Can we soften and release? Feel the movement of the breath within us. Good. Lovely. Another breath or two, if you can. Okay. Come back down, have a little shake out. So we're going to do a couple of sort of twisty things now. So first of all, just this sort of loose, easy, swinging twist. Making the most of the space. So whether people on Zoom can hear the children in the background, now the school is open to everyone. There's constant noise of children having staggered break times. It's quite nice. You don't think that?
I don't think you can hear it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember.
Yes, those background noises don't tend to.
No.
Someone's unmuted, aren't they? Let me see who that is. Oh, Kate. Good. Okay, a couple more times swinging your arms. And then come to settle in standing. And now we're going to do a few twists where we're not moving below the waist, these such strange ones. So feet a little distance apart, hands on the pelvis. Just this, when trying not to move the pelvis. And then hands on the ribs. And can we turn a little bit to the right and to the left from the waist up. So this feeling perhaps that we could imagine from the waist down, we're a plant buried in soil. And that we can just move, yeah, so the roots aren't moving, because don't move in the wind, don't move around so much. And then from here, maybe fingertips on the shoulders. And this can feel a little bit more satisfying. So when the fingertips are on the shoulders and the elbows are out to the side, and we're turning from the waist up, then a little bit more satisfying. We can go, and it feels like we can do a bit more. And then we could go on to fingertips being on the crown of the head. And so when our arms are raised, it does lift the ribs and maybe makes it a little bit easier to turn. Good. A couple more times. Okay. Very nice. And then we're going to let this all go and come back to the first one of just everything moving. And this is maybe where we just feel a little bit sort of more free and easy. A couple more times swinging the arms, and then in a moment we're going to come back. I say come back to the feet. We're obviously standing on our feet. Come back to focusing on our feet again. A little bit more balancing. So what we're going to do now is a little bit of walking up and down the mat. So come towards the back of your mat, and we're going to do this sort of funny slowed down walking where you take a step and another step. And you're just trying to feel each footprint on the floor. And get to the end of your mat and then walk backwards up your mat. So we'll do this 2 or 3 times, walking up and down the mat slowly. It's all a bit like we're doing slightly silly walks, but it's this feeling of each footprint on the ground. So you can be imagining, like if you're walking on wet sand and you're making a trail of footprints. footprints. And that's what we're trying to make in our awareness. This feeling of each footprint on the ground. Clear footprint. Okay, so one more time, walking up and down the mat. Just imagining each footprint, feeling each footprint as it touches the ground, the heels, inner and outer arch, the toes. It's quite soothing. We could be here doing this all day. But what I'd like you to do now is settle towards the middle of your mats and have your right foot stepped forwards. So you're going to have this hip width distance still, or a bit of space sideways, and then this rocking your weight forwards and back. So again, this is quite good for the feet. We come up onto the ball of the back foot, the heel of the front foot. We're going to take this into a little balance sequence in a moment. So maybe if I just show you. So from here, and sorry, you can always move that if you want the wall. From here, you're going to bring your weight into your front foot completely, catch the back foot, and then reach forwards and back, yeah, with the arm and the foot. So it's all sort of in a little bit of a flow. So from here, from your shifting your weight, let the weight come completely into the front foot, catch the back foot, and then reach backwards away from your bottom with your heel and forwards with your arm. So if you really reach your heel away from your bottom, there can be quite a stretch through the front of that back thigh. And just have a few breaths there, sort of reaching forwards and back. And sometimes in this one, it's interesting to let your gaze come up a little bit more. I always tend to really look down in this, but if we look a bit more forwards, that can sometimes help the upper back to release a bit. Yes, do come down and have a shake out. And then we'll try the other side. So I'm just turning around, you don't need to, but come so you've got your left foot stepped forwards. And so come back to this toing and froing, weight into the front foot, front heel, ball of the back foot. And then eventually from here, we just let the weight come completely into the front foot. We catch the top of the back foot, and then we reach forwards with the arm. We reach the heel away from the bottom. Try not to fall into the pile of logs. And have a few breaths. And again, you can play around with your gaze. So if, like me, you end up with your gaze sort of down on the floor, what's it like to let it slide forwards along the floor? It might still be down, or it might even be able to come off the floor a little bit. Make sure the back of the neck feels okay with that. Yes, do come down. Very nice, in your own time. So yes, Hilary, we are going to do a forward bend. We're going to do a forward bend with our feet in this stepped forward position, which can actually be really nice. So come back to the right foot stepped forwards. So what you're going to do is the front knee is going to bend, the back leg's going to be straight. You can fold onto your front leg thigh, and then you can release all the way down. Let your head go down, let your arms go down. You can feel a really nice forward bend. So often we use this as a sort of transition between a few different points, but to use it as a forward bend. So if it's comfortable for you, do release your head and your arms all the way down towards the floor. Keep sinking into your front foot, keep your back heel anchored into the ground. So yeah, Hilary, to keep your weight back a little bit more. So that's it, so your weight stays in your feet. And if the fingers do touch the floor, it's very light. And just have a few breaths in that forward bend. So this place that we might move through, but not always stay in. Letting the head go. And of course, whenever you want to, you can come back up, sinking into your feet. And we'll do the same on the other side. So it's really up to you how wide your step is. I mean, I wouldn't go massively wide because you do want to really keep your back heel anchored into the ground. So both feet pointing forwards, a bit of space sideways, front knees bent. You can come and rest your elbows on your front leg thigh, and you could stay there, or you could fold further forward so your chest. So see if you can really find that feeling of your chest resting on your front thigh if you're going further down. And if the fingers touch the floor, they're just really there to help stabilize you. They're not bearing any weight. If we can rest the chest onto the thigh, keep the back heel, that's good, Sarah, well done. Really anchored into the ground. Breathe, release, soften. And of course, whenever you want to come out, do so. But again, this thing, maybe we can stay there for another breath or two. Have a little shake out. So we're going to do one more movement pose where we've got the same foot organisation. So come back so you've got your right foot stepped forwards. And we're going to go part way into that forward bend. We're going to be doing the twist variation here. So you're coming part way into this forward bend, and then we're going to be turning towards the back leg. So you're not trying to fold as far as you can. You want your spine to be parallel with the ground. It doesn't even have to be that low, but no lower. That's it. So let the spine lengthen out and flatten. You've got your hands on your bent front thigh or your forearm. And then if you've got your right foot forwards, bring your left hand onto the back of your pelvis. So we're just trying to leave the pelvis quiet. We're turning the ribs and the shoulders towards the left, towards the back leg. You can release your bottom arm to the ground. It could hang, or your fingertips could come onto the floor, or your ankle. That's it. And your top arm can grow up towards the ceiling. And just see how it feels to be in this rotation. Very nice for a few breaths. That's very nice. Good. Really keep sinking into that back heel, Sarah. That's it. Brilliant. Great. Very nice. Yes. And whenever you've had enough, you can have a few more breaths. And whenever you've had enough, you can untwist and go back into the forward bend we were just in. And just let everything flop down to the ground. And then sinking down into your footprints, coming up into standing and having a little shake out, and we'll come and do the other side. So left foot stepped forwards. So a little bit of distance between the feet, step the left foot forwards, bend the left knee, sink into the back heel, the right heel. Come to this sort of halfway folding forwards. The spine is level with the ground, parallel with We're letting the spine lengthen out and flatten. You could rest your hand on your thigh. You could rest your left forearm or elbow on your thigh. Right hand on the back of your pelvis. So we're turning towards the right. Really keep sinking into the right heel. We can release the bottom arm, the left arm to the ground. Take the right arm up to the ceiling. Just have a few breaths here. If your left shoulder doesn't like the arm going up, then bring the hand back onto the pelvis. There's all these options. That's it. So I really think about the heel on this side as well. Good. It's really nice. Lovely. You stay in the twist as long as you like, and then you can untwist into the forward bend. And that looks very nice. Beautiful, everyone. Good. And in the forward bend, again, you flop forwards, you sink into your heels so you can release through the upper body. And let a breath come in, sink into your heels, come back up into standing. Good. And have a little shake out. And we're going to come into a forward bend, which I think I meant to come into some forward bends earlier and completely missed them out. So we're going to come into a forward bend and maybe stay in the forward bend slightly longer than we might do. We'll do a couple of forward bends. So feet a little distance apart. Let yourself roll down into a forward bend now with your feet side by side. And it's a little bit like, that's it. So Sarah, really think about outer edges of your feet, good, and heels, feet look really good. It's a little bit like in dog pose. How does it feel in the forward bend? We could, of course, rest our elbows on our thighs. We might release the arms to the ground. We might bend the knees a lot so the chest comes close to the thighs. We might not bend the knees very much. But how can we feel really rooted down, really anchored down through our heels so that our upper body can release down to ground? For another breath or two. And then in your own time, rolling back up into standing. You could walk your hands up the fronts of your thighs. Have a little shake out. We're going to do one last balance and then another forward bend. So just have a look at your feet, have your feet a little distance apart, and then close your eyes and just come back into feeling yourself in standing, in mountain pose, Tadasana, we call it. You can do a little bit of swaying from side to side again. Just feeling the feet on the floor, letting the shoulders drop, letting the arms hang. Good. And then do a little bit of rocking your weight forwards and back. And how does that feel? Bringing the weight into the balls of the feet. And then we're going to come into, well, let's just do it a couple of times. Let's just come up onto the balls of the feet with your eyes open now, please. Because we're going to come into this balance and maybe stay here slightly longer. So in your own time, come up onto the balls of your feet and then let your arms come up. And just see if you can settle there. So we're balancing on the balls of both feet. We've let the arms come up. That's it, good. We're dropping the shoulders down. Lovely. And then from here, you could bring your hands on into Hakini Mudra. So that's the one where we touch the pads of the fingers and thumbs over our head. So each finger is touching its pair. And then we can bring that mudra down in front of our chest, all the while balancing on the balls of our feet. Good. So the elbows come out to the side, the hands are in front of the chest. Good. Let the shoulders drop. And then you can release your arms, let your heels come down. And once more come down. Yes, do a little shake out. We have a little shake out first, and then we'll come into a forward bend. So roll back down into a forward bend, letting the head go. Just really in the forward bend, think about what could you do to be in a place where you could stay for a few breaths. Is it bending the knees more? Is it resting your elbows on your thighs? We want to really feel the heels anchored into the ground. It could be knees, you know, all these variations, but what works for you right now in terms of being there and staying there? And sometimes it just doesn't work staying there, but see if there's any little adjustments you could make. So sometimes I quite like to bend my knees a lot, so my chest comes to my thighs and then catch my hands around the back of my legs. That's another option, or catch one wrist. Good. We can roll back up into standing whenever we want. And we're going to do one more forward bend, but really this one is going to take us into a squat. So if people, I'm very happy if you would like a wedge. I'll just do it for you. You're going to do it for you. Hillary, you don't like a wedge anyway, do you? So yes, forward bend into a squat. And then maybe face the long edge of your mat if you haven't gone there already, because then we're going to come down into cobbler pose. So yeah, so this forward bend is you're not really staying in it, it's taking you down. So coming into the forward bend and then bending your knees forwards over your footprints. If you do want something under your heels, Kate, if you don't want to do this, maybe come and sit with your legs long and wide. Good. So you can, in your squat, you can always take your knees away from each other and let your chest fold down between your knees a little bit. If your back, actually what I've been doing a lot, if the back of the neck is feeling tight, you can let the head hang and interlink your fingers around the base of your spine. That's quite a nice one for yeah, releasing that sort of tightness at the back. Good. And then of course, whenever you've had enough of your squat, you're going to be coming down into cobbler pose. start by sitting down and leaning back onto your hands. And just, yeah, see how cobbler pose feels. And yes, Sarah kneeling is good for you, but maybe face the long edge of your mat because we're going to come into pinwheel. And we're going to need to come into pinwheel and doing sort of pinwheel twisty things, actually, I thought, for the change. So from cobbler pose, let one knee come on top of the other knee and slide your top leg back. And then do a little bit of circling, circling, settling. So I thought we would do some of the sort of twisty movements in pinwheel today and then spend a little bit longer in the pinwheel forward bend after them. So whichever knee is coming out to the side, you want to lean down onto that arm and hand. So this is going to take your weight more into the leg where the weight already is. And then we start to just swing the arm around a little bit. And the pelvis comes along with it. So you can do this movement where you slap your hand onto the back of your shoulder. But in this one, we're not trying to leave the pelvis behind. We're letting the pelvis be part of the twist. You don't sort of, yeah, need to be too, that's it. Really leave the legs heavy on the floor if you can, Hilary, that's it. So the pelvis moves a bit, but the legs stay heavy just so we keep rooted. Okay, so then we've come to this place. So we've given ourselves a slap on the back and we can keep the hands there. Sink into the hand that's on the floor. Let the pelvis come up and then grow the arm up towards the ceiling. So again, maybe have a breath or two here. So often we come in and out of it. And I just wanted you to see what's it like to stay in this place if it feels okay. And we're going to try it a couple more times. So then you can reverse your movement, come down, come all the way down. Your arm come out and then swing your arm again. Hand comes onto the back of your shoulder. You sink the arm, let your pelvis come up and then open your arm up towards the ceiling. I'd like to have a breath or two here. Front of the body really open to the sky. It's actually the ceiling. If we were outdoors, it would be the sky. And then one more time, you can come down, you can repeat that. So hand onto your shoulder, sinking down, opening the front of your body.
Where are we looking?
Well, I'm looking up towards the ceiling in this, but I think it's wherever is comfortable, actually. Yeah, I mean, I think the ceiling is quite big, isn't it? So, what part of the ceiling? I think it's exploring where can you open to, and then come down, and then fold into your pinwheel forward bend and stay there. I think it's maybe, I would say, Hilary, sort of exploring where can you go to that feels comfortable and open, but doesn't feel that it's sort of. How's your neck in that one?
Yeah, I like that one.
Okay, so it's not like the standing back arches where you worry about the neck. No, okay. Then I would just, sort of experiment a little bit. And that's partly why we were staying there a little bit longer. So we've got that chance. So really, if you can, enjoy this feeling of settling into your pinwheel forward bend, the weight of your body resting down through the bent leg. The bent leg that's going out to the side. And just softening and settling. So again, if we come back to this sense of our principles, we've got this feeling of the ground beneath us. We're trying to give our weight to the ground. We're focusing on the movement of the breath through our body, feeling the breath come in, feeling the breath leaving us. And particularly when the breath leaves us, that's when we can soften, we can undo, we can settle down onto the ground. When you come up between the sides, I'm just going to sort of leave it open to you. You could come up, you could come back to cobbler pose. Sorry, you could have your legs long and wide. before we do the other side, or yes, you could have your legs long and wide like this, or you could have your legs long and wide like this. So I think just decide out of one of these things, what would you like to do? Yeah, legs long and wide, legs. Yeah, that's it. Legs and yes. If you're doing cobbler pose, Hilary, that's quite nice. If you're doing cobbler pose, there's always those sort of rocking options. And the one I quite like is sort of holding my feet and then rocking my sit bones away from my feet. That's the one. And in a moment, we'll move on to side 2 of pinwheel. So I think either from cobbler pose or from kneeling. So you want to come into this side sitting position, going the other way, and then we slide the top leg back. Hopefully we're in pinwheel facing the other way now. Good. I meant to turn this light back on, so it's slightly, that makes any difference in Zoom. Slightly. I'll turn it off when you come to lie down. Good. So yeah, a bit of circling in your pinwheel. And then we'll see how it feels to do that pinwheel. It's a sort of rotation. Yes, sort of rotation and sort of opening through the front of the body. So it's a bit of an extension movement as well as a rotation. So we're going to lean, this knee that's going out to the side, we're going to lean onto that hand. So our weight is already shifting more into this, and then we can start to swing our arm around. And as we take our arm, we can let our gaze. So that can be helpful in this one. So as the arm comes round, we also let our eyes come around. And then we can feel the pelvis coming with us. But we leave the legs. We try and just leave the legs settled on the ground, I think. So we've got that feeling of our roots being anchored. And then whenever you're ready, hand stays on the shoulder, we sink into the arm. And then what's it like? So where does our gaze go? What's comfortable? It's opening through the front of the body. We can have a breath or two here. And then obviously coming back down if it starts to. You know, it's not one to stay in for a really long time, but sometimes it's interesting just to have a couple of breaths there rather than just going in and coming out. And we'll do it 3 times again on this side. Where does the gaze go? What's comfortable? Good. And then a final time, leaning into the arm, the other arm swings around, opening through the front of our body. So it's very much sort of a dance type pose. It's nice just to feel that freedom in the body. And then coming down, folding your weight over that leg that's the knee that's going out to the side, and just, yes. Is that me okay, Hilary?
Yeah, I was just getting crumpy.
Oh, crampy in the toes, yes. And just, yeah, settling down there. Letting the breath come in, letting the breath leave you. Letting the shoulders undo as much as possible. So again, we've got this sense of the ground beneath us, and that enables us to soften and give our weight to the ground. We've got the feeling of the breath within us. And then we're softening and releasing tension. And in your own time, you can walk your hands in towards you. And it might be that you want to lengthen your legs out for a moment, give them a little bit of a roll. And we're going to do one last dog pose and see how dog pose feels now. So So when you've given your legs a little roll out, come onto hands and knees, settle your hands down, and again, take time to arrive on hands and knees. Tucking your toes under, rocking your hips back over your heels, coming into dog, and just guess, how does it feel? Of course, any little adjustments you want to make, but it's quite interesting to come into dog pose at perhaps a later point than we might normally do. How do the backs of your legs feel? How do the shoulders feel? Can you let your head go? How does your breathing feel in dog? And then when you come down from your dog, you're going to lie down onto the ground. And we're going to do a few twisty things on the ground. Just lie onto your backs to start with. And we're going to do some twisty things on our side, but I want you to feel how it is to lie on your back. And you might want a cushion to be under the, because we're going to be on our side doing a twist. If you want a cushion under the side of your head, it's getting easier. Sarah, do you want to? That one, this one there. Yeah. I don't know if you hear me, that's not too, yeah, try that one. Okay, so have a cushion to hand, but first of all, just lie onto your back. And Alison, I think particularly for you, love, as you missed lying down at the beginning, you need to do some now, I'm sure. So lie down onto your back. Here I'll turn that light out, I think. Lie down to your back and just see how you feel and have a few breaths there. And then we will do some of these twisty things on our side before coming back to rest on our back. So just feeling yourself lying down. As I'm sure is the case for all of us. It can be so nourishing. And energy, it replenishes us to lie down in the middle of the day, but we rarely do it at home. Just maybe 3 more cycles of breath lying on your back. So you could have your hands on the front of your body and be feeling the movement of your breath in your body. And then from be on your back, come and settle yourself on one side. So you're going to have your knees bent and at a right angle to your body. And if you like, have a cushion under the side of your head. You don't have to have a cushion under the side of your head, but if your bottom shoulder feels there's pressure, that would be a good time to have a cushion under the side of your head. So just, come and settle on your side to start with. And we're going to play around a little bit with using our arms and not using our arms. So the first thing we're going to do, I want you just to leave your arms sort of really quiet and passive, and they can follow the movements of the rest of the body, but they're not really initiating anything. So what you're going to start by doing is just very simply rolling from the side of your head towards the back of your head. That's it, and then that's it. So that's what you're thinking about, rolling from the side of your head towards the back of your head. And you can let the arms follow, you can let any of the body follow if you like, but keep the movement quite very small and focused. Just, this is good for the neck. Rolling from the side of the head to the back of the head, a couple more times. as you do this, just sort of check in with the neck and how does the neck feel. And obviously as you roll more towards the back of your head, it may be less comfortable with the cushion there. So it might come a point later on that you want to remove the cushion. You don't know, it's up to you. Now, pause on the side of your head and take your arms out on the floor in front of you at shoulder height. That's it. So your arms are sort of out on the floor in front of you at shoulder height. And what you're going to now start to do is to slide your top hand beyond the fingers of your bottom hand, and then slide your top hand up the bottom arm, but stop before your elbow bends. So this is the sort of constraint you've got here now, is that you're sliding your top arm forwards beyond the fingers of the bottom arm, hand, and you're sliding that top hand back up the bottom arm, but you're not letting the elbow bend. So your shoulder can move back, but there's a certain point at which you can't go any further without bending the elbow. So just, yeah, keep the elbow straight and do this movement, sliding that top hand forwards and back with a comfortably straight elbow. But obviously, yes, be aware that your shoulder can move. Good. Very nice. Lovely. And then next time your hand comes back to rest on the other hand, just keep it there. And then you're going to do a different movement with the top arm. You're going to take the top arm up. So it's like you're drawing an arc. So that's it. So you're lifting the top arm up, keeping the arm straight, and just taking it up and see where it goes to. So you can take the top arm up, so it comes up over your shoulder, and it maybe also comes down towards the floor behind you. And just do that a few times. So, yes, Hilary. So we're thinking about the top arm sort of coming up and doing like it was like a semicircle up over the shoulder. Yeah. So if anyone's not sure about the direction I'm saying, so yeah, so rather than that's it, good. So the top arm is just coming sort of straight up. Have a look at me if you're not sure. The top arm is coming straight up towards the ceiling above your shoulder, and then maybe down behind you. It's not drawing a circle on the floor over your head. It's coming up to the ceiling over your shoulder, and let your head roll. So that's it, good. Let your head roll. So you're thinking about the arm sort of drawing this semicircle up over your shoulder towards the floor behind you. But to bring your shoulder all the way towards the floor behind you and that arm down onto the floor, you might need to let your knee come up. That's it, quite a ways. Good. And so maybe explore that a couple of times. How much do you need to let your knee come up to let your arm come onto the floor behind you? And keep the arm, the elbow is straight but relaxed, so the arm is soft. And then if you want to stay, yes, sorry, you might to slide your fingers under the sofa. If you want to stay in this twist with your arm on the floor behind you, you could either bring your cushion and put it between your knees if your knees lifted up a lot, or you could bring the other hand and rest it on your top knee. So this is not the arm that's behind you, the one that's in front of you. That hand could come and rest on your top knee and help that knee to drop. You could slide your feet forwards a little bit on the floor, might help. That's it, good. And then if you like, have a few breaths with that arm resting on the floor behind you, your shoulder resting on the floor, and trying to let the top knee settle down. So if you're enjoying being in the twist, have a few more breaths there, but whenever you want to come back onto your back, do so. And you can have a few quiet breaths on your back before we come onto the second side. Yes, that's it. So come in, there's no rush, but come and settle on your back when you're ready. And just, give yourself a few breaths. So again, remember just that, how nourishing, how replenishing it can be to be lying down on our backs, breathing. How the body needs a bit of time to settle after any movement. And so remember, when we come to side 2 of the twist, if either of your shoulders is uncomfortable in any way, then try and adjust the movement so that your shoulders can soften. So when you come onto your side, onto your second side, if your bottom shoulder feels squashed, that's a really good indication that a cushion under the side of your head would be good. That will hopefully release the pressure on your bottom shoulder. So yes, when you're ready, coming on to side 2, organising yourself on side 2, knees bent, cushion under the side of your head if you like, knees bent at a right angle to your body, feet coming forwards a little bit on the floor so you feel really steady on your side. And remember, the first movement we did was the arms really relaxed and soft and rolling from the side of the head towards the back of the head. So actually the arms being quite passive to start with. Because in this one, the arms we're using the arms a bit more than we often do. So it's good to start off with the arms just being very passive. Finding the movement. How is it to roll from the side of your head towards the back of your head? How does that feel in the neck? How does that feel in the shoulders? Giving yourself time. The second stage, whenever you're ready to move on to that, is bringing your arms to shoulder height. So the bottom arm on the floor, that arm stays put. The top hand, the top arm, so sliding, so the top hand comes after the sliding one first, Sarah. So first of all, you're sliding your top hand beyond the fingers of your bottom hand. And then you're sliding your top hand up your bottom arm, but keeping the elbow straight, so stopping before your elbow bends. So you let your top shoulder move back.
I've done that one.
You've done that one. Okay, so go on to the next one. That's fine. Doesn't really matter too much. Good. Yeah, so you're sliding your hand beyond the fingers of the bottom arm, and then you're sliding your hand up the bottom arm, but you're stopping before your elbow bends. And this one's really helpful because it's about integrating the movement of the arm and the shoulder, which is good if we suffer from sort of shoulder problems. And then you can, when you're ready, when you want, you can come to the third one, which is where we start to take the hand. So we start with the hands touching, and then the top arm comes straight up to the ceiling. So the hand comes over your shoulder and then towards the floor behind you. And let your head roll. That's it, to help the movement. Good. Let your top knee lift if need be. And try this movement a few times. So you want to try and make it as easy as possible by, right there, sorry, you need the wood.
Yeah, it's okay.
Good. Lovely. Yeah, so the arm is lifting, but think about the arm. Can the arm feel light because you're letting the head roll, you're letting the shoulder come back, you're letting your top knee lift. And then once you come to settle in this twist, then we think about letting the top knee become heavier again. Yeah, so if you're going to settle with your arm on the floor behind you, then you might want to put your cushion under your top, between your knees, or you might want to bring your hand onto your knees. This is the hand on the floor in front of you. So once we've settled the shoulder on the floor, settled the arm on the floor, then it's can we settle the knees? And that arm settle there, Sarah. Ah, that's nice, good. I was going to say, if you want something else under it, then let me know. Good. So it might be that you have a couple of big sighing breaths. So letting that arm settle on the floor behind you. Letting the knees settle, so particularly seeing if that top knee can be heavy. And in your own time, you can roll back onto your back. At this point, we're just going to settle down and have a few minutes of lying quietly, focusing on our breathing. Make sure you're going to be warm enough. So just let me know, sorry, did you want a blanket? Bolster under the back of your knees.
No, I'll just put
So settle down. And we will just give ourselves these few minutes of lying quietly, and we'll start by focusing in on the contact of the body on the ground. So this sense of the ground beneath us. Really starting with the feeling of the weight of the head on the floor. And we could finish where we started by letting the head roll a little bit to the right and to the left. And as the head rolls, we can feel the changing contact of the back of the head on the floor. And from rolling the head, we can find a comfortable place to settle the back of the head down. And let the head feel heavy. Would you like the bolster onto the back of your legs? Yeah. So it might help you settle a little bit more. Untouched for several months, so it's fairly safe. Yeah, yes. That's it. So yeah, just settling down. So maybe feeling the contact of the back of your body on the floor all the way down to your heels. So the back of the body settles and the front of the body can soften. So might be that you like to bring your hands onto the front of your body to feel the movement of your breath somewhere in your body. So perhaps for 3 or 4 cycles of breath, gather your attention into your breathing. Notice where you feel your breath in your body. And just see if you can keep your attention focused with the sensations of the breath somewhere in your body. So feeling the emptying of the out-breath, the filling of the inhalation. If your mind has drifted, just come back to your breathing. Gather in your attention for another cycle of breath.
And then let your awareness widen out. And sense the air on your skin, sounds around, the movement of thoughts and feelings and images inside of yourself. I'm going to ring the singing bowl 3 times. Just carry on lying quietly until we reach the end of the 3rd sound. So thank you, everyone. Just take your time. I'm going to stop the recording.